Mickey Loomis on WWL. Saints offense going through growing pains, but issues are fixable. I cannot believe this. We've listened to Mickey talk a few times this year after games. This is a kind of a recurring theme here, that the problems are fixable, or how we can turn things around, or what Dennis Allen can do, or what Pete Carmichael can do. And I alluded to this in a video this week. Guys, look, I hate to be the guy that says it, but Dennis Allen isn't going to fix anything. Pete Carmichael isn't going to fix anything. This is who these guys are. Dennis Allen is someone in the comments help me out. He's a 18-42 win-loss record coach. That is who he is as a head coach. Pete Carmichael is a guy who's been here for 17 years. He has been in this building. He has been drawing a check. He has been an offensive coordinator or an offensive coach of some sorts for this very team for almost 2 decades. These aren't growing pains. These aren't, knocking off some rust or a guy just kind of getting used to the system. This is just who they are. This is who these two guys are. The offense has been awful for 2 years. It's awful right now. It's going to maintain being awful until Pete Carmichael or Dennis Allen go. And Dennis isn't even really the problem when it comes to the offense. It's Pete. And I want to show y'all something before we get to the video to just illustrate how bad it's actually been. So if you see this, okay, this is analytics of the efficiency of the personnel group and the play calling, every play per play in the NFL. All right. Look at where we are. Like, can y'all see this? Look at where we are compared to the rest of the NFL. Obviously, Miami is the best. They are way over here. Way over here. We are so far away. I have to move myself so you can see how far Pete Carmichael is. Like, think about some of these bad offensive coordinators. The Matt Canadas of the world. The Bill O'Briens of the world. Mike McCarthy, like Frank Reich, who just got his play calling taken away from him. Some of these are awful, and we are lapping them. Look at this. This is from Steve Patton Analytics on Twitter. This chart is mind-blowing at how bad the Saints play calling has been, okay? So this is after week 6. This is going into the Jaguars game. Unbelievable. Another chart, another look at it. Ranking the play callers after week 6. So this is the same chart in different form. Look at our offense. Look at the play callers. We are negative 0.92. No one else is even relatively close. The next worst is Zach Taylor at negative 0.53. We are doubling as bad. Doubling as bad. So this is not just, we think it's Pete Carmichael. Oh, we think it's the play calling. These are deep analytics that are telling you what it is. And here's something from the Saints Reddit I saw today. The Saints are 27th in offensive points per game, 26th in touchdowns, 25th in passing touchdowns, 26th in yards per play, 28th in red zone scoring percentage, 20th in yards per game, 26th in punts per game, 23rd in rushing yards, 28th in yak, 26th in receptions inside the opponent's 10, 23rd in sacks allowed. My God. I mean, is this not crazy? Like I said, we're not being dramatic. We're not being dramatic here. We're not saying something that's not actually happening. If we just keep rolling Carmichael and Allen out there, nothing's going to change. Nothing's going to change at all.
Mickey, I kind of agree with Coach Allen's statement. Said, look, I told the team we've got to do a better job of executing our jobs. If we're not executing our jobs, we've got to find someone else to execute those jobs. Is that in the immediate future, or is it next season? Where does that come about? Because that's a broad statement. If we're not executing our jobs, we've got to find someone else to execute those jobs. And, when you hear that statement, it's like, well, you don't have too many options because of the limited roster spots.
Yeah, I think, look, first of all, I wasn't there when he said that, but I understand it. Look, we're all accountable for the tasks and the jobs that we have to do. And so if you can't do them or you're not doing them, then you better change in a hurry, or somebody else will end up doing that job. But on the other side of that equation is, look, we're going through some growing pains here.
All right, what are the growing pains? Like, who is it? It's not Pete. It's not Dennis. So the only growing pain that could possibly be is Derek Carr being new to the team. That's the only growing pain that's like, okay, it kind of makes sense. But at the same time, it's week 7. It's week 7. So it can't be growing pains. Not to mention, we're 3-3 right now. Who have we beaten? Titans, Carolina, New England. How many wins is that? We're facing. Does Tennessee have 2 wins? Because I know New England has 1. I know the Carolina Panthers don't have any. So that's like a point. That's like a 0.17. It's like a 0.170 winning percentage. I mean, it's not like we're facing tough competition. Like, the growing pains have to end. The growing pains can't be an excuse anymore. We can't have growing pains going into week 10, week 12, week 13. We can't have growing pains at the end of the season. The growing pains are over. And any of this stuff about Carr getting used to his teammates or the play, whatever that is, that has to get figured out quick.
We've got...
And I hate to interrupt him again, but it also can't be growing pains with the offensive line. We keep saying how bad the offensive line has been, and they've been absolute ass. But these guys have to be the most experienced collective offensive, one of the most in the NFL. These guys are homegrown, home-drafted guys. Like Ryan Ramczyk, Eric McCoy, Cesar Ruiz, they've all played together. They've been that offensive line for a while. It's not like they're free agents just getting plucked around and trying to reposition and things like that. So there shouldn't even be that much of a growing pain there. This is a veteran team. This is a veteran roster. So I'm not sure where the growing pains are.
We've had a lot of changes on offense and
where?
Over the last 2 years. We've got a new quarterback in the building. We've got young kickers. So we're going to have some growing pains. The good news for us is that we've got a very good defense who's played very well this season, and we can rely on that. Now, in the first half of that game, it wasn't their best half, but they played really good football in the second half. So we're going to have to weather some of these growing pains, and yet at the same time, we've got to make sure we're executing and we're doing our jobs to the best of our ability, attention to detail. And I felt like, look, we've done that a lot, and yet I felt like in this game, and I know Coach Allen felt like there was some things that we didn't detail correctly, and so we got to get that fixed. And that's
This is why I showed you the charts and the stats and the graphs before we talked about this video, because we can sit here and we can say attention to detail. We can say execution. We can say do your job. We can say preparation, whatever it is. Those things don't get you to where we currently are in the rankings or in the analytics. Those analytics show that there is a legitimate, serious breakdown somewhere offensively. It does not come down to attention to detail that makes you twice as bad play calling efficiency wise as the second to last person. When you saw our offensive numbers, 28th in this, 26th in that, 28th in this, 29th in that, that has nothing to do with us having young kickers. Like that it shows that we have a serious problem on our hands here. A legit problem. It is not about that. That's why a couple video, I can't remember what game it was. We were watching a video and they started talking about tackling. I think it might have been WWL. They were talking about better tackling and trying to get more efficient in our tackling. When you see the numbers that I pulled up earlier, and you see how poorly we're ranking in play calling, and then you hear people say, well, maybe if we just tackled a little bit better. The hell are y'all watching? I mean, what are we watching? I mean, this is at this point, it's kind of crazy, honestly. It's crazy that we see the numbers, we have the stats, we have the analytics, and we're hearing the GM of the team tell us that, well, if we just get a little attention to detail, maybe we'll fix all that.
That's players, coaches, the entire organization. So That's what happens when you lose games. You know, you got to be accountable for that and try to figure out quickly what's keeping you from winning.
Oh, well, I'm glad you asked, Mickey. It's right here. This is it right here. This is it. You see how, like, this is the part that's starting to drive me crazy. When he's like, well, we got to be held accountable and, you know, figure out what's stopping us from getting wins. And then you have a chart that's like this. What would happen if this chart ended up on Mickey Loomis's desk? And Mickey Loomis has this chart in front of him and Pete Carmichael sitting there. How is Pete Carmichael still employed, honestly? If you see this, like, I wonder what he would say. I wonder what Pete would say with this. I wonder what Mickey Loomis would say if he saw this. Because this is unexplainable to me. Unexplainable. You look at the bottom five, right? Saints, Bengals, Patriots, Falcons, Steelers. You look at the Steelers, Falcons, Patriots, and Bengals. They're all kind of bunched up there. And then there's us. Like, this is a whole nother level of bad. And the fact that our GM is coming on here and telling us, well, you know, we just got to be accountable. We got to kind of figure out what's going on when this kind of stuff is out there. And then not only is this out there, but you have this chart and these statistics. Like, ladies and gentlemen, if you look at this chart and these stats, do you think you could maybe drum up a bit of an idea of what could possibly be the problem? Does anybody in the comments want to maybe possibly just have a thought of, like, what could be the issue? Do you think it's our young kickers? And this is another reason why, you know, the comments about all the Blake Groupie stuff. It's like, guys, I don't care who the kicker is. We can't be worried about kicking. We can't be worried about a rookie kicker or Will Lutz or who the hell ever. I don't care if we have Sebastian Janikowski. I don't care if we have Adam Vinatieri walking through that door. That's not going to fix our 26th in offensive touchdowns, our 27th in points per game, our 26th in yards per play, our 28th in red zone scoring percentage, our 23rd in rushing yards, our 28th in yak, our 26th in receptions inside the 10. It's not going to fix the fact that Pete Carmichael is almost breaking the y-axis of this chart.
The good news is, look, we didn't lose any ground in our division, so it's still out there in front of us.
Now, Mickey, how do you handle, though? I guess it does matter. You know, you always say when you play an opponent, who's available, who's not. I don't know the availability of Trevor Lawrence come Thursday night, but I look at all the injuries we're dealing with on the offensive line. And how do you handle that? Do you just bring in guys off the street or maybe somebody who might be familiar with the offense? As far as depth, you look at like the depth, the swing tackle we had, Landon Young, the injuries he's dealing with. Then all of a sudden we got to put Cesar Ruiz at tackle. And then when you think about it, Ryan Ramczyk, I don't know, the concussion protocol. I mean, you get a concussion on Sunday, how you could be ready on Thursday. You can go all across the line. But that's what I'm concerned with on Thursday night, going against Jacksonville. Who in the hell's playing for us to block? And
So right now, we're going to do the Jacksonville game preview tomorrow. I'm trying to wait as long as possible because we have some serious injury problems. As of right now, I think 3 offensive linemen have been ruled out. Demario Davis is a game-time decision. I have no clue who's going to play. Trevor Lawrence is questionable, so I'm hoping to have some more information tomorrow to get y'all an actual preview. But yeah, I mean, Bobby in his and whatever that monologue was there, he's right to be worried. We already have a bad offensive line, and now we're down 3 starters. And our defense is the best part of our franchise, and Demario Davis might not play. You know, all of a sudden, Trevor Lawrence looks like he could play. Like, things are not going well when it comes to the injuries. So, like I said, I'm not going to get too deep into that because I don't know the information right now. I'm filming this on a Wednesday evening. Thursday morning, we're probably going to get the Jaguars preview out there, and hopefully by then we'll have all the info from Wednesday's practice.
Establish that offensive line.
Every team is dealing with and deals with injuries. What makes it particularly difficult, you just alluded to it, when you have a lot of injuries at one position group.
It's called a cluster injury, but of course y'all know that. We all, we're at a bit of a high level here on the channel.
That can be really difficult because it's not, for example, if it's the offensive line, you've got five players in there that you have to work cohesively. And if one changes, look, you can deal with that. 2 makes it a lot more difficult to deal with, and 3 certainly makes it a lot more difficult to deal with. So
these pictures are pissing me off. This beard, look at Dennis's beard. What's going on here? Look at the line. I mean, this thing is, look at the precision. If he cared as much about our offensive play calling as he did about the line on this beard, we'd be the best team in the NFL. What pisses me off about this is that they show this image, and I'm listening to the GM talk about cluster injuries or who knows what. Meanwhile, this cat right here is 17-41 or 18-41, whatever it is, as a head coach. And we're like, yeah, maybe he can turn it around. Meanwhile, behind him, playing in the grass, tripping all over his headset, playing in the grass is Pete Carmichael, who we just saw a chart is twice as bad as the second worst ranked play caller in the NFL. These 2 guys are driving the ship.
So we'll handle it. We've got guys in the building that can play, and we'll adjust accordingly based upon who's available.
Mickey, I know you're not coaching, but I am curious to the frustration level. It just feels like, and it's been talked about, just kind of some of the miscommunication, the routes, and these guys have been together not long, but they have been since the spring. Is just how tough is that really through 6 weeks, and really not all 6 weeks, but in the 6th week is probably a better way to say it.
Well, it's always frustrating when you don't win. It's not as frustrating if you win the game anyway.
Right.
See, that right there, I'm going to lose sleep tonight because of that. I might vomit all over my own chest right now, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't matter if you win or lose the game if you know that there's problems. Like, if you know there's a hole in your roof, you don't just say, well, I mean, it's a sunny day, who cares? You got to fix the hole in the roof. Like, there is an issue. There's an issue. You can't just let it sit there and say, well, it's not raining. What's the problem? It's a beautiful day, babe. It's a beautiful day. We got a nice cool breeze. That's not how it works. We have an issue. Fix it. This is getting to the point of malpractice. It's getting to the point to being disrespectful to the fans is what it is. Think about this. Think about if you are Houston or Carolina or whoever has a rookie quarterback. At this point in the season, if they were terrible, this would be the part where it's like, you know what? I understand they're a rookie. I understand there's some growing pains, but we might need to think about a backup plan here. We're at that point now, and we have a roster full of veterans. Derek Carr is a seasoned veteran in the NFL. Derek Carr is in his early 30s. Derek Carr has been in the NFL for a long time. All of the people on our offense have been there for a long time. Everyone on the defense has been there for a long time. We are using an excuse that the Texans should be using with C.J. Stroud and a new head coach, a first-time head coach. It's the same excuse that Carolina should be using with Bryce Young, with a rookie quarterback. We have the same coaches that have been there for years. We have the same line that's been there for years. We have the same skill position players that have been there for years. Everything is the exact same. What in the world are the growing pains? How in the world can we sit here and use growing pains as the excuse for the stats that we just saw? Do you think Houston? Have you heard Houston say they're having growing pains? Shouldn't Houston have growing pains? With rookie quarterback, rookie head coach, brand new skill position players, brand new defensive players, Will Anderson on the other side of the ball. How many growing pains do they have? I haven't seen any growing pains.
But, I feel like, listen, I think offenses typically in the early part of the season are slow starting, right? Look at week 6. We're in week 6 already, and so you would think that would be catching up. But just this week we had, Kansas City scored 19 points. Minnesota scored 19 points. Cincinnati scored 17 points. San Francisco scored 17 points. Philadelphia scored 14 points. Buffalo scored 14 points. These are all really good offenses, and yet it's week 6, and it's not like they're, ringing up a lot of points in week 6. So
let's just take a look. What an insane thing to say. Yeah, well, Kansas City scored this many points, so, it's all cool. Miami has 223 points on the year. We have 109. Buffalo has 173 points on the year, and they just scored 19 points. We have, what did I say? 109. I mean, what's he talking about? The Ravens have 133. Jacksonville, 142. Houston, 135. Kansas City, 147. We have 109. How is our GM saying this? How is our GM saying Kansas City scored whatever it was, 19 points, so it's all cool, when they have 147 points and we're sitting here at 109? San Francisco has 184 points. 184 points. We have 109. And they just lost, right? They just scored 13 points, 17 points. They scored 17 points. They scored 17 points. And Loomis is sitting here saying, well, they scored 17 points, even though they have 184 points on the season. That is unreal. That is unbelievable. The Bears have 128. It's unbelievable. The Commanders have 133. We're getting smoked by the Broncos. Broncos have 129. It's crazy that he can sit there and say, oh, well, these good offenses had a bad week. We're not having a bad week, Mickey. We're having a bad season. This isn't about a week-to-week thing.
We're going through some of that slow start. It hadn't caught up to us yet. We haven't caught up to it, I should say. And so we're going through some growing pains. We've got to figure that out pretty quickly. I saw some really good things in this game. We had 430 yards of offense. We've got to learn how to finish and how to not have negative plays when we get into the scoring area. Obviously, we have to kick and make field goals. So, look, those are things that are correctable, and I believe we have the people that can correct that.
Now, Mickey, when I look at this one number, and this is something that I know post-Katrina, that we were always winning in the fourth quarter, and how you close out games, and that's one number. To me, it's more than 2-1. Like we've been outscored in the fourth quarter, 20-47. So you know how games can come down to the last drive, or what do you do in the fourth quarter? How does Pete Carmichael or Coach Allen, how they address that, or as a team do you come together as far as outscoring your opponent to close out games in the fourth quarter?
I'll tell you the difference between the fourth quarter post-Katrina and the fourth quarter now is that back then we had Drew Brees and Sean Payton. And now we have a 18-41 overall head coach. We have an offensive coordinator who is twice as bad as the next closest person as a play caller. We have had quarterbacks in the past of Trevor Siemian, Jameis Winston, Andy Dalton, Ian Book. And now we have Derek Carr, who's actually playing worse than Andy Dalton last year. So that's probably the biggest difference in the fourth quarter of what you're talking about there, Bobby.
You put yourself in those pressure situations enough time, and then you have success. You build confidence, so that you're expecting to be successful in those situations, and not just being hopeful to have success in those situations. Look, I remember back in 2000.
I was looking for this picture, and I just found it. Let me read it to y'all. This is comparing Andy Dalton and Derek Carr to the first 6 starts. So Andy Dalton 6 starts last year, Derek Carr 6 starts this year. Carr 1,299 yards. Dalton 1,385 yards. Carr 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. Dalton 10 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. I understand Carr was hurt for a half, but it's Andy Dalton. The point is that we have been abysmal, and it is now time for everyone to get better. We are going into the 7th game of the season. In 24 hours, a little bit more, we'll kick off that 7th game. Friday, we will be talking about a sample size of 7 games. That's right there, right before half the season. So this is where I'm starting to get frustrated, because the more I hear, oh, well, Carr's good, we just got to give him time, or, oh, we believe in Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen, or, oh, well, we just have to pay attention to detail. Pretty soon, the only details we'll be paying attention to is the NFL draft, because we're going to be postseason. We're going to be after the season. The writing's on the wall. This morning, I woke up, I was making my breakfast, and I was thinking, okay, who's it going to be? Who's the head coach going to be next year? And I was thinking Kellen Moore, I was thinking Ben Johnson, I was thinking Eric Bieniemy, just some of the offensive coordinators in the NFL right now. I'm thinking, who's it going to be? I'm already there. I shouldn't be thinking that in week 7. We should be making changes right now to fix the rest of the season. If we lose against Jacksonville, and if we lose in a fashion like we've lost leading up to this, I expect next week is going to be the week where the rubber's going to meet the road, and we're going to have to start making some changes. I think this is the last week that Mickey's going to be able to come out here and say this kind of stuff. And Pete's going to be able to do his interviews, and Dennis is going to be able to do his interviews. After Thursday, we'll see what happens, but after Thursday, I think it could be time to do something.
2008, we had 6 or 7 games that we had the lead or an opportunity to win in the fourth quarter and didn't close it out. And yet, man, we went through that. We went through those circumstances. We learned from it. And in 2009, man, we closed out those games. We learned how to finish teams off. That was one of the themes of the offseason after 2008 is, man, we've got to learn how to finish. We've got to finish. And it was a focus for us. And, we learned how to do that, and we did it. And so I think, it's similar to that. We've got to, we need to learn how to finish these games, particularly on offense, and that'll lead to victories, especially in the NFL when the margins are so close.
Now, Mickey, what about, when we've seen it in training camp, exploiting the middle of the field, not only with the wide receivers, but the tight end. The tight end position is not even in the top 4 targets or receptions. I mean, you look at like Chris Olave, Rashid Shaheed, and you're looking at Michael Thomas, but I know Juwan Johnson's dealing with an injury. Taysom Hill was a big part of that. And I know Derek Carr knows how to utilize the tight end. I remember him with the Raiders and Waller. But it seems like the tight end, and I know we got Foster Moreau and all that, but the tight ends are not even in the top four as far as receptions. And I know the tight end is a short path, even though the rush.
I'm not sure they should be in the top 4. I mean, think about our top 4 targets. It's going to be Thomas, Olave, Kamara, and I'm cool with it being Shaheed. Why does it matter if they're in the top 4 of our targets? Not to mention the tight ends have been blocking so much. Not to mention one of the tight ends, Juwan Johnson, has been hurt the entire season. So, I mean, is the question would we be better if Jimmy Graham or Foster Moreau was top 4 in targets? I would say no. If you told me that Foster Moreau is 3rd or 2nd or 4th in our target share, I would say why. If you said, yeah, Jimmy Graham's getting the 3rd most targets on the team, well, why? Why isn't Kamara? Why isn't Shaheed? Why isn't Michael Thomas? Why isn't Chris Olave? I mean, this is more of what I'm talking about with those numbers. Do any of y'all think that Foster Moreau getting more targets is going to boost us from where we are right now in the offensive rankings? After watching the Texans game, or after watching the Packers game, was anybody thinking, man, we could have won that game if Foster Moreau would have had more targets? Is it just me? Am I the only person that doesn't think Foster Moreau's target share is a huge indicator of success for the team?
Just getting to you that you can release and get the ball to him or utilizing the tight end more. What's your take on that?
Well, I think it's a good point. And look, we are counting on Juwan Johnson to be that receiving tight end for us. He's a weapon, and he hasn't been available because he was hurt. And so we're going to need to get him back and give him opportunities. And again, with Foster, Foster's dealt with some things. with Foster and Jimmy, that's an area of the field and an area of our team that we can utilize, and we will. Again, this is all part of the growing pains that you deal with, and just like we didn't have Alvin the first 3 games. We've got to find ways to get all of these weapons integrated.
I don't know, guys. Like I said, I think this is the week. I think this is the week where we can't hear this anymore. I'm frustrated as a fan. I really am. I'm frustrated as a fan because you see the numbers, you see the analytics, you see the rankings, and then we hear, it's just growing pains. No, it's not. It's not growing pains. We're worse this year than we were last year. Our offense is terrible. We have the easiest collective wins possible. We beat a collective 2-win, in the 3 games that we have wins, they've won a collective 2 games. Our offensive play caller is not only last, but he's last by a wide margin. Like, those aren't growing pains. That's nothing to do with Foster Moreau and Juwan Johnson. And it's what my biggest fear is we're just going to sit pat and we're just going to have Dennis Allen as the head coach and Pete Carmichael the entire season. And we're going to, every single week, we're going to be sitting here holding up that sheet of analytics and saying, hey, Mickey, it says here we are twice as bad as the second to last play caller. And then they're going to be like, yeah, I don't know. We just got to be accountable and see what's going wrong. And we're sitting here holding a sheet that says, hey, Mickey, it says we're the 28th team in red zone efficiency. And they're just sitting here like, yeah, I mean, if we just kind of tackle a little bit better. At some point, he keeps saying accountable. At some point, someone will have to be accountable. And at some point, they're going to have to make a decision and make some moves. We as fans deserve that. We at least deserve not to get, right now they're spitting in our face, I think, with rolling Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen out there every week for them to score 1 touchdown and then for us to spend the entire week hearing this stuff when we see what's actually going on. Unbelievable. Let me know in the comments below, guys, what's your thoughts? Are you frustrated? That's what I want to know. Talk to me here, Saints fans. Are you frustrated? What do you want to see? What's the problem? Is it something else besides Pete Carmichael and Dennis Allen? Can it be fixed? Am I wrong about that? I'm kind of tired of the can it be fixed conversation. Do you think it can be fixed? Do you think attention to detail and execution and all of those buzzwords, do you think that can actually fix it? Or is it a bigger problem? Let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next video.